Rohit, what's your stand over here? You see, let's begin with the biggest concerns that we're dealing with. E20, is it actually damaging those engines? Just like I was having a conversation with Tehseen, he says the problem is not the E20. We have E10 compliant vehicles, and maybe you can stretch that and take that to E20. But to forcefully guzzle down E45, maybe E85, talk about all of that, why are our engines being forced to carry on this experiment for which we're essentially not prepared?
You know what? First of all, thank you so much for having me here. And that entire segment with Tessin, I was listening to it as well right now. And I think Tessin had it pretty much spot on in entirety about the entire E20 policy and what's actually happening here in India. Now, the government and many of the auto manufacturers have actually come out recently and even said that E20 fuel is not damaging engines. But, that is very debatable. First of all, there's a lot of cars in India, which even Tehseen pointed out to, about 80% of the vehicles currently in India. That contributes, those are the vehicles that were manufactured pre-2023. When we're talking about vehicles manufactured post-2023, most of them are E20 compliant. In fact, I personally drive a Honda City. It's a 2023 Honda City, but regardless, Honda is one brand that has been E20 compliant since, I believe, 2009. But all the other vehicles, which is 80% of the market today, those are not E20 compatible.
Yeah.
And it's not just about whether E20 fuel is damaging engines, because all of these auto manufacturers and even the government, they're coming out and mentioning that it's not damaging engines, but it's the fuel systems, the rubber parts, and the other parts within the fuel system that are getting damaged.
And maybe that corrosion doesn't hurt you right at the outset, but over a long term, compliance and compatibility is something that one will have to take a look at.
Exactly. That's one massive thing. And I'll tell you another point. Now, let's give the government the benefit of the doubt that it's not E20 exactly which is causing the damage, but it's contaminated fuel that's causing the damage. Now, my next question. You're the Ministry of Petroleum, you're the government of India. If fuel tampering is a massive problem that's going on in India, and if adding E20 to that fuel is only 20% ethanol is only making it worse, then shouldn't some things be done to ensure that the consumers, the average citizens that are paying all of these taxes, road taxes, cars on taxes, GST on that, income taxes, when we're paying so many taxes.
The policy came later, the fuel arrived earlier, and there was rapid rollout, and the idea was a one shoe fits all, which is usually not the right way to implement something that's new and for a larger multitude.
In fact, I'll add a couple of things here. Now, we're all common citizens of India, and we've witnessed a lot of government projects and how much time they usually take, right?
Yeah.
Now, Niti Aayog, as Tehseen pointed out earlier today, stated that India will only be prepared for the level of ethanol blending we're at today, E20, by 2030. In fact, even as per the government deadlines set for this project, it wasn't supposed to happen till much later. Like the timeline set were close to around 2030.
Yeah.
When for the first time, we're also coming across a government-led initiative which has happened before timelines, right? Because usually they don't take.
So you're essentially saying this is too good to be true because it's happened 4 years in advance.
Too good to be true, depending on who the beneficiary is. Like, I'm not saying it's too good to be true for us. It depends on who the benefits are going to, because it's happened very, very fast. But having said that, there are understandable benefits that, the government is advocating, which is that it helps our forex. But even then, Tehseen had put up a very good point. 20% of a benefit on something that is contributing 20% of our forex, and for all of that, so much mehnat. Is it really worth the effort? And see, the idea is it's great for the country, I guess, in the long run. Even 20% savings on 20% of our forex bill in the long term is something that is needed, especially when the rupee is falling against the dollar as much as it is today. And when you think about it, let's say that, fine, all the consumers today, we put up with the 5 to 10% loss in fuel efficiency, because at the end of the day, if our currency stays stronger, we benefit in a lot of other things. A lot of our technology, for example, is imported. A lot of things that come into India are imported. So if we can save maybe on the forex in the long term, maybe giving up on 5 to 10% fuel efficiency, is a trade-off which
Fair
we
enough.
can
Fair
make
enough.
in the long run.
I
But
understand. I understand. Yeah. Yeah.
happening so fast without being given a choice is what the problem is, and the very fact that this is a democracy. Or in fact, I just want to add another point as well before we sign off. It's that, a lot of us are considering that, the E20 is going to help us with our dependence on foreign imports. But again, as it was pointed out earlier in our show, we're having to import a lot of the corn, the maize right now to
Yeah.
match the ethanol production. And with a push towards EV, because EVs are the other alternative, we're also importing a lot of the battery components for that from China. So maybe is it just one import cut that we're canceling imports from one end but contributing it to the other side? So that's something that has to be considered as well. Something to all the audience right now is that, I mean, at this point in time, as consumers, we don't really have a choice. Petrol and diesel across the next 5 to 10 years, it does not seem to be having the most positive landscape in India. Nitin Gadkari has also mentioned it time and again, particularly for diesel, that if you're a diesel driver, the future is not good for you. Switch towards EV. The future is electric vehicles right now in India. The government is promoting that quite a bit as well. And until and unless we somehow get a choice in the future, it's not looking too good for petrol owners. I, being a petrol owner, it is sad